you ever started saving with the best of intentions and then just watched it all fall apart? I've definitely been there. It's not that you're bad with money, you probably just didn't have the right systems in place. In this video, I'm sharing these 6 habits that helped me get to my first 10K and how you can use them too. First habit, pay myself first, no matter how small. You guys have probably heard this one many times before, but here's the key thing that you've probably been doing wrong. You need to have a system in place so that saving doesn't require willpower, it just happens. Status quo bias tells us that people tend to stick with preset automatic options. We are way more likely to follow the path of least resistance. I wanted saving to be a default, just like how my bills get paid by direct debit without a second thought required from me, saving needs to be automatic. I started really small by setting up an automatic transfer, and even though it was only for £20 a week at the start, I committed to doing that every single week. And then over time, I was able to commit to saving a percentage of my income every single month, no matter whether my salary went up or down. By doing this, you're treating your savings like a bill, so that extra money that you have just isn't available to you to spend on stuff that you don't really need. It's a fixed cost, just like your mortgage or your phone bill. Another way to consider this is to think about it like that you're making yourself feel poorer, right? You're not leaving money to slush around in your current account for when you're feeling weak late in the night preparing to make an impulse purchase. If that money isn't there in your bank account available for you to spend, you're probably not going to spend it. The next habit is to make spending feel good, not guilty. The more I tried to restrict every fun purchase, the more I ended up emotionally overspending later. I'm really not a big fan of crash budgeting, where you restrict your spending to only the bare necessities. I think it can be really, really hard to stick with long term. What I much prefer is building sustainable habits that help you financially. That's why I always leave room in my budget for joy, hobbies, and things that make me feel rich without spending like I'm rich. And the really cool thing is that my hobbies have actually helped me unlock savings while keeping me away from online shopping that risks ending in an impulse purchase. Upcycling old furniture has given what we already own a lovely fresh look and kept me busy. And learning new recipes, like making delicious Thai red curry chicken with this recipe from Robert Danny, means that I avoid spending on a takeaway when I'm craving Thai food. By the way, I got that recipe from Craftsy, which is sponsoring today's video. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative, with thousands of classes on everything from cooking and baking to sewing, drawing, knitting, basically all the skills you've ever wanted to try but didn't know where to start. I've been using it recently to level up my cooking game, and it's honestly made cooking at home feel fun, creative, and way less of a chore. The authentic Thai cooking classes plus their Indian restaurant favorites with Raghav and Aya means I save money on my favorite Thai and Indian takeaways without feeling like I'm missing out. I'm also really loving the idea of improving my baking skills with classes including Learn to Sculpt a Stuffed Animal Cake by Elisa Strauss, which would be a dream birthday cake for my kids. So if you guys want to learn something new, try out a new hobby, or just get inspired to create more, check out Craftsy. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description below will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. This is valid for brand new members only. Moving on to the next habit that will get you to 10K now. Be realistic but committed. Saving 10K in a short space of time sounds like a great goal, and it really is. I think it unlocks the path to better financial habits going forward. However, it's not suitable for everyone in every season of life. For example, if you're earning 20K, you have a family to support, you have the basic bills to cover, trying to save 10K in just 1 year is simply not going to be realistic for you. And that may only lead to frustration, which isn't what we want. Like, you want to try and make savings feel motivational and fun and like something that you want to keep on doing, not painful and frustrating. But just because you feel like the current income that you have is holding you back, this doesn't mean that you should abandon trying to save altogether. So as well as making your timeline realistic, it's also a really good idea to try and reverse engineer that goal. So if you want to save 10K in 18 months, that's £555 a month. Maybe that still feels like a bit of a stretch, so let's try breaking it down even more into baby steps. £138 a week, or just under £20 a day. Suddenly, that number becomes a little bit more actionable, a little bit more doable. Could you try to cut or even earn an extra £20 a day? There are various side hustles that you can do from home on your phone. For example, surveys or trying to do odd online admin tasks for people. There are people out there that will pay you for your time. Maybe you could try reducing takeaways or doing a side hustle a few times a month, or switching a weekly spend for a no spend alternative. For example, if you and your family absolutely love to go to the park, then maybe take the snacks with you instead of buying them once you're there. When you break it down like this, you give yourself a concrete daily habit, and that gives you something to fixate on, and that can really help to build momentum. Another thing I really recommend is to use a visual savings tracker to help you stay engaged in the process. Whether you just draw a grid on a piece of paper, divide it up into 100 squares and color in the squares every single time you get a portion of your savings goal, or maybe you print off a savings tracker from online. There are tons of them available for free online. I have one for free that you can download from a link in the description below. Use that to track your progress, put it somewhere visual so that you can actually see that what you're doing is making a difference. And this really hacks your brain, because you'll feel much more motivated to complete a task when you can see how close you're getting to the finish line. And honestly, what matters most here isn't the size of your deposit, it's the consistency. Small wins repeated often create big results. The next habit is to set traps for your future self. Do you guys remember that scene in Confessions of a Shopaholic where Isla Fisher is trying to break her credit card out of the ice? She's like using her high-heeled shoes, she's using a hairdryer. She's desperate to use that credit card. It's a hilarious scene, but it's also kind of genius. And that's because when it comes to sticking with your budget, as I said earlier, willpower isn't always enough. Your willpower is going to fluctuate over the course of the day, the week, the month. You need to set traps for your future self. These are systems that slow you down before you spend, so that you're not relying on discipline in the moment. This statistic kind of blew my mind, but did you know that the average adult makes 33,000 decisions a day? And those can be big decisions, such as where are we going to go on holiday next year? Or they can be really small ones, like what are we going to have for dinner tonight? The more choices we make over the course of the day, the more mentally drained we become. This is known as decision fatigue, and it means that by the end of the day, our brains are tired. And this is a time when we're most likely to say, whatever, I deserve a treat, or we'll be weakened at the sight of an online checkout and click buy it now. It's when we're much more likely to give in to that craving for a takeout, or fail to resist that brand new dress that keeps popping up on our Instagram feed. But this is actually a really good thing, because smart budgeting isn't about perfection. It's about designing systems that remove these decisions altogether. So one of my favorite systems is the 30-day rule. If I want to buy something new that I don't actually really need, I add it to a running wish list. Now, you could make your wish list in your phone, you could save the link and have a document with a bunch of links in, you could do a screenshot of the thing that you're tempted to buy and save it in a folder in your pictures library. However you create that running wish list, note it down, but whatever happens, you cannot buy the thing for 30 days. You have to just wait. If I still want it after a month and it fits within my budget, I go ahead. But honestly, 99% of the time, the stuff that I add to this wish list, after a month, I do not want it anymore. And I kind of feel a little bit silly that I even considered buying it, particularly when I reflect on stuff that I already have that's very, very similar. I think that this one habit has saved me hundreds, maybe even thousands over the past 7-8 years. Some other cool traps that you can set in order to slow down your spending process include deleting your saved card details from your smartphone, from your laptop, from your tablet, any places where you tend to do your online shopping. Try deleting your favorite shopping apps and unsubscribing from the mailing lists. Try leaving your purse at home when you're on a low spend weekend or a low spend day. And also try setting spending limits in your banking app. There are certain apps that will allow you to do this, things like Monzo and Starling. Moving on to the next habit now, which is to track like a scientist, not a judge. When I finally got serious about saving, one of the biggest shifts was tracking. Not that I was doing this obsessively, but just that I was doing it routinely. The goal here really isn't to judge or shame yourself when you do overspend. It's to try and spot and recognize patterns in your spending. So when you have that information, you can easily make changes. Tracking your spending every single week shines a light on leaks that you probably didn't even realize were there. If I ask you right now to tell me how much your mortgage is, you can probably tell me right now. But if I ask you how much you spent on food or Amazon shopping last month, you would probably struggle to recall that information. So what the tracking process does is it turns vague habits into real data, and that's information you can use. This also taps into something called the Hawthorne effect, and this is where we change our behavior when we know that we're being observed. And even when it's you observing yourself, you can nudge yourself towards better decisions because you're holding yourself accountable by tracking your spending. I use a very simple spreadsheet to input my spending every single week, and it provides me with all of the information I need about exactly where my money is going and where I've overspent on my budget. The final habit is to tie your savings to a very clear why. One very big reason that savings goals fail is that they're tied to an abstract reason, such as I want to save money because I want to save money. That isn't nearly as powerful as saying I want to build a safety net so that I can quit my job next year and go traveling, or I want to save money because I want to be able to invest in upskilling so that I can move on to another career. When your brain knows what the money is for and also why it matters, you're much more likely to stay committed to the process. So whatever your goal is, whether it's freedom, security, travel, a new home, be really, really clear on what it is, write it down and have it somewhere visible. If it's like a dream holiday, have a picture of that destination and put it up on your fridge so that you can see it every single day and it reminds you this is your why. Whenever you're tempted to spend, having a really clear reason why is what's going to give you the power to hit pause and not go through with that impulse purchase. So saving my first 10K didn't happen overnight, and to be honest, it wasn't a particularly glamorous or exciting process. But it didn't happen because I started making loads of money, and it also didn't happen because I simply deleted Netflix. It happened thanks to small, consistent habits. And honestly, these habits are still helping me today to meet even bigger goals. If you're somewhere on this savings journey too, don't underestimate the power of small, steady habits. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. Let me know in the comments, which of these habits are you trying? Are there any that you've tried before? Are there any that you stuck on? I would love to hear from you, and don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I would love to have you join me here on the channel. Bye.